And we're live.
Yay.
Yay. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello. All right. Well, let's start off by introducing everyone because we have some new faces. Obviously, I would assume most people know at least me and Nick, but I'm Scott Corelli, co-owner of Dueling Genre and host of a great many things. Currently, Cornetto Minute. Nick also. Cornetto Minute.
Hello, Nick Jimenez, Cornetto Minute, Doctor's Companion.
Yeah.
Right now.
Cornetto, we've also got Nick's guest star here, his mustache, which is
yes, yeah, it's Halloween related.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at that. It was I didn't just go have a hankering to have a mustache.
But now that it's November, you're just gonna let it roll.
Well, yeah, I can't shave it now that it's November.
Right.
And you know, Scott and I were actually we were having a Skype meeting or something earlier today. It is weirdly on brand for me.
Yeah. No, it works. No, you look more like a dad than you've ever looked.
Yeah, it's like I'm cosplaying as me in 30 years.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's been like a 55-year-old dad since I met him at 16.
Yeah.
And now he finally starts to look like one. It's great.
Yeah.
Who else do we got? We got returning from last month's Hangout. We've got Cassandra as well.
Hey. I gotta be the token lady friend.
Yeah. And who do we got new people? Let's start with you, Andrew. Introduce yourself.
I'm Andrew from the Disney Animation Minute Essentials, which technically hasn't released episodes through Dueling Genre yet because our recordings of Little Mermaid got interrupted with our own Little Mermaid baby being born. Switching over to land-based as opposed to aquatic. And I'm also the producer on Protagonist Podcast, which I do not host, but I chime in quite frequently.
You're like the Robin.
Sure.
Howard Stern, not Batman.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, in that case, I don't get that reference. I only get the Batman reference.
Okay.
And Michael?
Hello, I'm Michael Nixon, one of the co-hosts of Having a Friend for Dinner, a Hannibal Lecter podcast, a podcast about Hannibal Lecter. We talk about stuff. We're getting into season 1 now. It's good. It's gonna be fun.
It's very good.
Are you guys going to be doing guests on all that?
That's the plan. We wanted to get season 1 locked down and then open the doors up in season 2 for things to get weird. Because
I have definitely heard some podcasters talk about Hannibal, so you should try. They're from it's one of the Australian ones, so you should check some of that stuff out.
Deal. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout.
Hey, Zach's here.
Howdy,
Hey, there he is.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry about the late addition here. I was getting a new phone because my phone stopped working today, and the process of transferring everything over took an extra half an hour. So we sort of had to race back to attempt to get her on time, which I did not do. But now I'm here. So,
welcome.
Thanks, guys. How's it going?
Good. We were just doing intros.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, I'm Zach. I'm the one from Spider-Man Minute. You know,
It wasn't your turn.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Continue with whoever was in place then.
No. You popped in right on time. It was kind of amazing. We were just wrapping up our last person, and then you popped in. It was like you knew.
That's beautiful. Well, happy to be here, right under the wire.
Well, then, Zach, get us started. What's floating your boat on TV right now?
Okay, yeah. So for fall TV stuff, I'm digging the return of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on the CW. Yeah, we've been following along with that one. Have you guys watched that show? It's
I have not started season 3 yet.
Right. Yeah, it's like a musical comedy show on the CW. Rachel Bloom is like the co-creator, executive producer, awesome person. Sorry, there's my new phone making noises, and it's this like crazy intense like personal drama thing, but also like people dramatize their emotions through elaborate song and dance numbers. There's nothing else like it on TV. It's amazing, and season 3 is really dark so far. So yeah, that's my first one.
The thing that impresses me so much about that show is like not every song is a winner. You know, like some songs are like not great, but it's amazing that they like clockwork every week create 3 brand new songs. Like,
it's insane.
And usually at least one of them is like really, really good.
Yeah, or at least really funny and
yeah,
with a great like music video type thing for it.
Yeah, yeah, it's mind blowing.
I had a summer this past summer. If you use Spotify, you know that you have like daily mixes that are inspired by like what you were listening to. Like if you're listening to a lot of hip hop, you'll have a hip hop mix. If you've been listening to a lot of British 2000 bands like you know, like the Strokes, you'll have a playlist of just that for a while. And for like all of the summer, I had a playlist that was just Hamilton and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend songs.
That's amazing.
I think the Hamilton was just because they couldn't think of anything else to pair Crazy Ex-Girlfriend with. But I can't just be Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. That's fucking insane. I guess Hamilton.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, it's really a miracle of a show, and it's doing so much. It's like a parody of the anti-hero era of TV.
Yeah,
in a weird way. Like Rachel Bunch is very much like a reaction to characters like Walter White and Don Draper.
Totally.
And that's only just one level that it's operating on. It's also operating on like and just like all this other stuff. It's great. Mental health is like huge. I've learned so much about like depression and anxiety through watching that show.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah,
it's a beautiful, and I always forget that it's just like over in the corner there on the CW. It's just just really, they take huge risks that like I don't think any other show is really doing out there. And I think it took me a while to get on board because of the title. I was like, oh yeah, is that like a, you know, they're just making fun of the girl for being an ex-girlfriend? That doesn't sound fun, but it's just like deep character intrigue, and it's all about like examining those like gross ideas in society. It's really cool. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. So not to peek too far behind the curtain, but Nick, I don't think you have the right mic set.
In what setting?
In the Google Drive, in the Google Hangout, like in the settings.
Possible.
Yeah.
Oh, where are the settings?
Okay, here we go.
There's a little gear in the tab.
Yeah.
Okay, should I refresh or do I sound better?
No, you sound better already.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
that's exactly that's 100% what it was.
Okay, there we go. So now you sound good. All right. Well, there's a peek behind the curtain of me reminding Nick to check his settings.
What you just saw was the equivalent of like 2 old stagehands that have been working together for like 30 years. Just like already, yeah.
So what about you, Andrew? What have you been watching?
Most particularly, and the only one that's kind of ongoing right now is Good Place. So I'm representing for the Good Place because it is very good.
I have also not started the new season of that.
It is arguably the best show on television.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against that. I would argue for that assessment because it is pretty consistent, especially binging the first season, having heard that it was good. Like binging through that first season in the course, I mean, it's like 4.5 hours of TV is all.
Yeah,
right. Because they're half-hour episodes and there's only 12. And binging through that, I was just like, this is really great.
Yeah.
And I think so far I've enjoyed the first season a little better. I don't know if it's just maybe binging is a little better for this show. But it has been consistently good, and there's good performances from everyone, and they're different performances. So it's not like the writing gets stilted where you're like, why does everyone talk the same? No, everyone seems different. They wrote, completely differently for Michael or for Janet or for Eleanor.
Yeah.
And so you have these consistent voices for these characters, and then they're all nailing it every time.
Yeah.
As McAdrick says in the live chat, holy forking shirt, I love that show.
It's so good. Oh god. It's so high concept, and
it's so smart, and it's like just so funny, but also so like earnest and sweet. It's just the result of everyone on that cast and crew are just at the top of their game.
They're doing really interesting stuff with like just a sitcom. Like sitcoms aren't normally like that. Like it's really serialized. I'm trying to think of I think the first sitcom of this like sort of new generation that was in that style was Last Man on Earth. Last Man on Earth hit and was like kind of serialized like that.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the first one. That got to a point where you hated the characters and then it came back around again. And then now they're back in like a so-so place with it. But The Good Place it's so high concept. It's the kind of show that you watch and you're just, at least for me as like a creative person, I watch and I just get angry because I'm like, why? No, why is this so good? Stop it.
Let me hit you with a little factoid about that. So Joseph, who's one of the hosts on The Protagonist, my brother, he did a student film in college, and it's like 15 or 20 minutes, and they could basically drop it in as an episode of The Good Place because it was about like a college student who went skydiving and he died, and it's about his introduction into hell.
Awesome.
And it's just a short thing, and a lot of the concepts that they deal with on The Good Place, like I feel like were initially introduced to me because I'm younger than my brother, so they were introduced to me by watching this short film that he made about this guy, and he wakes up in a classroom and he says the devil is his old TA, and he's like, yeah, you get to choose all these things, it's your personal hell.
That's so
like
funny. I mean,
all these ideas, like I've been thinking about them for 10 years, and then they're just like really nailing it with The Good Place and expressing all this stuff so well. And I love the philosophy that they bring into it. And I don't know if we're allowed to spoil some elements of the.
I try not to spoil the end of the
first do not. Don't spoil the main thing. Yeah, you can kind of talk about the pitch, but don't spoil the main thing.
I enjoy that they deal with like moral philosophy conceptually, like they're dealing with actual moral philosophies and the arguments for moral philosophies,
right?
And they're putting them into practice and expression, and they're really playing with it
because they got like real philosophy professors on staff to like check things through with, and like it's such a heady concept for a show. And sorry, there's a dog over here. And the fact that like you don't have to do something that crazy. It almost sounds like a show that like you wrote a really cool like pilot or a pitch for something. You're like, wow, that's like such a cool idea, but they would never make that show because like it would be so hard to pull it off.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those crazy spec pilots that you write to get attention with absolutely no thought that anyone would actually make it.
Yeah. It's really impressive.
It's shockingly good, and I'm a sucker for afterlife.
It's true.
Stuff.
Yeah. Defending Your Life is one of his favorite movies.
Oh no way. Defending Your Life is so good. And like Beetlejuice and anything like that. That's like about the rules of like society in the afterlife. I always find fascinating. And so I'm just a sucker for that show.
Me too. That was my senior thesis in college was a version of this type of stuff, like an afterlife. Like I literally went, I had references about like 15 different plays or books that were about like different versions of the afterlife. And I wove them in this super pretentious thing, but like those ideas are so fun to me that they're like, what if you could focus on anything for your final project in school? I'd be like, I want to do different versions of the afterlife. That's awesome. And so
you guys are gonna geek out so hard when you die.
I know, right?
Like, this is it.
I've spent literally my whole life preparing for this. Oh my god.
Me and Zach are just gonna hold hands and be like, oh my god, look! Oh,
this is what we were meant to do.
We're flying, so cool.
We're going back.
Definitely check out The Good Place. Yeah, and it is really handy that they do have it all on Netflix. Bingeable, because it is so serialized that I think it helps to be able to the end of the episode. You're like, oh, what happens next?
Oh yeah,
you have it.
Because like Kestra and I, my wife, we went through like that whole thing in 2 nights because we were like, no, can't stop. Okay, definitely have to go to bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the characters are all solid. Like I changed favorites like 5 times.
Oh sure. Yeah. I think you wrote something like this, Nick, but it really resonated with me, which is like the idea that Veronica Mars means so much to me as a character, and now Eleanor Shellstrop means as much to me as she does, but she's a completely different character, and somehow the same woman is pulling off both of them. It's crazy how specific it is. Yeah.
And it's like, and the same thing, but with Ted Danson, except it's like 4 characters at this point.
Yeah. True.
Ted Danson is amazing all
good.
throughout this show.
I haven't tried binging it, but I will because I watched it week to week because I knew about it way early because I first heard about The Good Place when I was very briefly working at Universal Studios where they shoot The Good Place. And they were like, here's our upcoming projects that you can't talk about yet, but like on your like schedule, like next month, you'll be able to start talking about this. And they like showed us a promo for it. And everybody else was like talking about, oh, hey, here's this like other police procedure. I was like, did you guys see that they're doing the Afterlife with Kristen Bell? They're shooting it. They're gonna shoot it over there. And we couldn't, like, when we did our tours, like the tour buses went around that whole area where they shot it because they were keeping everything super, super secretive. And they're like, I don't know why you're freaking out so much about the thing they're shooting over in the Europe section. I'm like, it's the guy who did
already
Parks and
so
Rec.
like that's already such an iconic set too. Like I would love to visit that location.
I love watching it, and I think even initially, it just made me think of like walking down Main Street at Disney.
Yes, exactly.
It's like that's the vibe I get. It's like, oh, they made heaven like the Disney Main Street.
Oh my god! Just got such a sudden close up of dog.
So, did you want to join the chat too?
He's looking right at the camera too.
What about you, Michael? What are you watching?
Can I poach Star Trek Discovery from somebody else?
Oh no, go ahead.
Because it rules.
It is
awesome.
very good.
It's really, really good. It's really hitting its stride. Sorry, my cat is yelling. But we're all having a pet.
So many animals,
right? But yeah, it's been incredible. I don't want to give too much away, but the first 2 episodes are weirdly enough like not really Star Trek Discovery yet. It feels like the finale to a show we never got because it's the end of a different 7-year voyage and it goes pretty bad. But once like you get into episode 3 and the actual discovery of it all, it's terrific. And this most recent episode this week is just another high for the show. They've just really been hitting a real stride. It's to the point where like I never really liked Harry Mudd to begin with from the original series, and I'm not a particularly big Rainn Wilson guy, and I really love the Discovery Harry Mudd played by Rainn Wilson. Like,
oh, that's so good to know.
It's really good. From the chat, how do I feel about swearing? I'm a little bit of a prude. I don't like the Fs. I don't mind the S's. That way.
Yeah, I guess like it would be like if they started like saying fucking Harry Potter. It would just feel wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
I would watch that though.
And it absolutely feels wrong. It's like it
Jesus
feels
fucking
like,
Christ, Harry.
It feels like words that shouldn't exist in Star Trek. Like it shouldn't be. It's like they should have never been invented. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's our future, but it feels like they should be more antiquated. He should be more. I mean, Stamets should be more surprised.
No, I don't. It is in our future, though. It is in our future. It's Star Trek
anymore,
world. It's Star Trek universe.
It's aspirational, not.
It's aspiration. Yeah.
Well,
so they can exist in a universe where cursing never existed. That's how I feel about like TV. When you watch a TV show and no one's cursing, I'm like, oh, that's because cursing just doesn't exist in that universe.
They don't have those words.
I don't have
President
that.
Bartlett out.
But yeah, it's also just gorgeous. The show's really beautiful. The designs are. I like the uniforms. I think they mesh. They've explained why the ships, because it's happening at the same time as the Cage, basically, and they've explained in the books and other stuff why there is such a drastic difference. And frankly, it makes sense to me. So it's not a thing that bugs me. And the Klingon stuff is like, I'm not really a Game of Thrones guy, and it's a little Thrones-erific for me.
Yeah, interesting.
It's just like a lot of subtitles and people with big teeth, but it's
dope.
Yeah, the Klingon designs though were really cool, and they're doing. It's like the formation of the Klingon Empire is where it's spooling out to now.
That's like jam.
Minor spoilers, but like, yeah, because the war. Well, go on.
Can I ask a super like your mom on things like your mom calling for technical support question?
Go for it.
Is it possible to watch CBS All Access on an Apple TV?
I don't know. I just use a Chromecast.
How do you watch it?
It's technical.
I just really don't want to watch it on a laptop because it's like Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure they have an app that you can download.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my main question about it, because like the week leading up to this, I was like, I want to check out some other shows, and I could not find a like straight answer of like, how do you watch Star Trek Disco?
Star Trek.
CBS All Access. It's the only way here.
I got
Yeah.
buy a thing.
If you're in the US, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I know.
Here,
'cause
I don't want to sell CBS All Access. That's not my job. But if you want a platform that has every Star Trek episode ever on it, it's worth the fee, frankly.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
I did not realize the
my
old
feeling.
ones were on there. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't either until I bought it, and then I was like, oh, everything. Cool.
No, see, what
Plus
I do
everything else.
is I just sign up for like when a show drops that I want to see, I sign up for a month and I watch I binge watch it. That's what I did with The Good Fight last season, because I loved The Good Wife. It's one of my favorite shows ever.
I've heard that's great. Yeah.
Oh, The Good Fight is great.
Yeah.
The Good Fight, though, they did the same thing where they just start cursing, and you're like, wait, no, curse words don't exist in this universe. But it's really good, and like I'll binge watch Star Trek Discovery. I'm gonna binge watch The Twilight Zone when that premieres.
I can't wait for that.
Because that is nuts.
That's an awesome deal.
They're doing that. And so I mean, I think it's definitely going to be worth it to just have a subscription to it if they keep going in this direction.
And that's the way everything's going,
right?
Really,
yeah.
It's like do you want to be the package? Yeah, it's like, do you want to be the person that bought an iPod in 2002, or do you want to be the person that bought an iPod in 2007?
Yeah, that one. I want the second one. Yeah. I don't buy first generation anything.
How many episodes of Star Trek Discovery are there so far?
They're going to be 9 this year for the first half of season 1, and then they come back January 2018 with the back half of season 1.
Oh, okay.
It's 14 or 16 total.
I don't know.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, they are also doing that with The Good Place. I think it just took a 2-month break.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't want that. I want it to finish airing now, please.
Well,
something about football is in the way.
It's good for people like me who haven't started season 2 yet. Now we get a big chunk of time to catch up.
Yeah.
To catch up on the 2 hours of material.
It's not the biggest catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So who's next? Well, we're talking about Star Trek. Cass, you want to talk about the show that Nick and I convinced you to watch?
Yeah. So I haven't been caught up with TV in a really long time, but Scott and Nick were like, "You need to watch The Orville." So I haven't watched last week's episode, but I'm pretty much.
I haven't either. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was gonna watch it before this, and then I got out of work a little late. But no, that's like my new favorite show.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really impressed with it because I am not a Seth MacFarlane person. But I don't know. Like, I don't like his brand of humor usually, but I'm actually really impressed with how toned down it is, but it's still really hilarious. And it feels like Star Trek, like it's Star Trek in everything but name. And I feel like sometimes it out-treks Star Trek, which is probably a little blasphemous, but the episode 7 like blew my mind because it was just such like really good sci-fi. Like in general.
Remind me which one that was.
It was the Vengeance on
media
Varanus episode.
Yeah, because
I haven't seen that one yet. That's one I haven't seen.
Yeah, because there's a really old Doctor Who episode where they decide on like political whatever. They decide people's fates by like voting and like watching their television, and they like pulled that off and brought it, like made it relevant for 2017 instead of like Doctor Who in 1980, and that made my brain like explode. And I love all the characters, and everyone just feels so familiar but so fresh at the same time. And I understand that Seth MacFarlane's a dick, but you should watch The Orville.
I mean, my thing about it is like, I think for the first time ever, the humor feels earned. Like usually his stuff is just like, and now a joke. And it has it has like a very tedious connection to what we're even talking about. It's just like here's the thing I did. Hey, remember when you did that other thing that has nothing to do with this? And like it's bad comedy writing. But in the case of The Orville, like all of the comedy is just based around character, and it's really weird. Like it's not used to, and that's one of my main issues with the show is probably that Seth MacFarlane credits himself as the sole writer of every episode, which there's no way that's true.
Yeah.
He's pulling an Aaron Sorkin.
That's too bad.
Yeah, which that sucks. There's just no way. No one person is capable of writing 9 episodes of a Fox network television show in a row.
Yeah, unless he has been like working on it since he was like 9, like unless it's been like his passion project, which I kind of understand because I would want to work on Star Trek.
I mean, it is the kind of idea you think you would start writing when you were 9. Like, I just make TNG, but I'm the captain. Like,
and you know what? If I could summarize the Orville's appeal in one way, it actually would be: it makes you feel the way Star Trek made you feel when you were 9.
And
that's
nice.
And it's become it. I only watch the Orville like in the mornings. It's become my like morning show. I like to sit down and drink coffee because it's always just like a good little story. It never makes me like laugh out loud the way Rick and Morty does or even The Good Place does, but it just has a very warm, comfortable sense of humor.
Oh.
And as I guess I'm gonna have to act as a Seth MacFarlane apologist today. Because I it's kind of the best parts of, you watch Ted and little moments in Family Guy, and like there are kind of like, oh, he actually does have like an earnest streak. It's just he's kind of Family Guy as an animation
a lot.
As an animation nerd, I feel bad for Family Guy sometimes because I feel like they've written themselves into a thematic hole where they kind of can't be as earnest as The Simpsons can.
Yeah.
Like, and when you see it happen, it hits you like oh, like when the Griffins met The Simpsons, I was like, oh, you guys aren't a third of the characters that The Simpsons are, and you've been on for like a decade. That sucks. And it feels good because it's like the Orville is kind of finally a chance for him to grow as a writer and try on a different set of hats. And you're right, yeah, the humor in the Orville does feel very like organic and comfortable and not joke a minute, joke machine.
I also really like that it's more of an ensemble. It's like grown into more of an ensemble show because at first I was really worried because he's an okay actor, but like I didn't really buy him as a leading man.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's not put too fine a point on it. Like, he has no business being the captain and the lead in the show. Like
but
he just doesn't.
I really like how he does become captain. And I like the whole situation. Like, oh god, like are they gonna make a bunch of like ex-wife jokes or whatever? And
right. Yeah, you're so nervous during the first minutes of the pilot.
But it's very surprising how much I enjoy the Orville actually. So I keep wanting to tell people about it so I can.
And I just really like the way that they deal with certain like social issues and political things on the show is like really delicate.
Yeah.
Like the episode about gender identity. That is not like an episode. That's not something that should work when written by Seth MacFarlane, but somehow.
Yeah, and you've seen him fail. Like there are times when Family Guy was like, "We're gonna tackle abortion or marijuana legal," and then they're so awkward and preachy and unfunny. And like the gender identity episode of the Orville was just like, just good television in a very classic way.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, so
I'll check it out.
What about you, Nick? What are you really enjoying this fall?
Oh god damn it.
He forgot he had to do homework. He just showed up.
Well, I'm trying to think of I watched today. I got the okay from the roommate who's out of town, and I really binged a lot of Stranger Things season 2. I have one episode left.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I just watched the episode that everyone on the internet loved without any debate.
The second to last episode? Yeah, the one that was no contention on over whatsoever.
The first episode of television that 100% of people liked.
Yeah.
It's never happened before, but they did it. But yeah, like I really enjoyed season. I'm like, hey, what do you think of Stranger Things season 2? And I'm surprised at how much of a film sequel it feels like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen a season of television so deliberately trying to mimic watching like a summer movie.
The only difference, and again, this isn't a criticism because Stranger Things is in fact a television show,
right? Yeah.
But the only thing that stops that is Lost Sister, which is a standalone episode in the middle of the movie.
In the middle of a movie, yeah.
Which, if that happened in a movie, it would be the weirdest thing that ever happened.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. But I really do like that episode a lot, and like I want the spinoff. Like, I really liked that episode a lot. I think the reason it's getting most of the criticism that it's getting is because everyone was like, no, why are we not in Indiana? Go back to Indiana. That's
I think that's fine. I also think that the like cast of crew, the new kids on the block in that episode aren't nearly as well defined as the main cast of Stranger Things kids.
I agree with that. There were a lot of like, they were I made a note in my head. They were like the kids that Sam Rockwell like walked around in Ninja Turtles. Keep walking. We're good. Actually, we're good.
Well, because I think the problem there is that like they're not. I assume we're going to come back to them next season. Like they're just setting up stuff that we're going to pay off in season 3. But, they're not trying to establish a spinoff or anything like that. If they had been, I'm sure that all those characters would be more cast. I think like but Callie is really interesting.
She is interesting.
And really good.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of her. Like I would watch a spinoff about her trying to find the other sisters or siblings or whatever. Yes, because she's number 8 and she's 11, so there's there's at least 9 other siblings that are
Dude,
around.
You're like friggin' like punk rock Sailor Scouts, like bring them together.
It's so awesome. Be into it.
No,
I'm a big fan. I like how Halloweenish this season feels.
Oh yes, very, very much.
Yeah. But that it also didn't, like, I remember when the trailer came out that a lot of people were like knee jerk against the Halloween aesthetic. Like, oh, wow, is this really just going to be like the big thing at the end of the episode, end of the season happens at Halloween? But it was like the tone is Halloween and the content is Halloween. It's very Stephen King-y. But like the Halloween episode is like in the first couple episodes. It's not like this is... I think people were afraid it was going to be like too cloying or too try hard or too like recapture the magic we had last season, but it's very much just like a sequel. Like these are the same characters, but like here's the fallout from last season and
new combinations, like in Guardians 2, you're like, oh, what if Rocket and Yondu went on an adventure? And this one, it's like, what if Dustin and Steve just had to like team up? We haven't seen that before.
And that was like one of my favorite things in it. Like that,
so much
new
fun,
dynamic, like their relationship, like growing. I was like, yes, that's fun.
Yeah.
Or
and I guess
11. Yeah.
Yeah. And the biggest compliment I guess I could pay Stranger Things to, as uneven as it's been, is that you really proved a lot of those performances, if not all of those performances by the children, were not flukes.
Right.
They're actually like legit actors, which is really exciting,
Well, and the actor that plays Will really got his chance to come back because he was missing for 90% of the other one, and all he had to play was like cold and shivering. And this one, it's like, okay, now
trauma,
like have a connection.
Yeah. He brought it. He was excellent this season.
He really held up.
But especially because like you were saying, the amount of screen time in general is so much higher for him that we were like, well, we don't know how he really fits into like the crew, but the fact that he had to like hold his own in all these huge dramatic scenes and be the center of the narrative and just like scare you or freak you out or.
A lot of his scenes aren't with the other kids. He's up against Winona Ryder and Sean Astin.
Yeah.
For a lot of his scenes. And it's like, hold up against these guys.
Yeah.
Wait. I haven't seen season 2 yet. Sean Astin is in season 2.
Sean Astin is in so much of season 2.
He is in fine form.
He's Winona's
featured new
boyfriend.
player.
Yeah, he's Winona's boyfriend. Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yeah, his name's Bob. He's so great. I love him so much.
Yeah, go watch season 2. See some.
Yeah, I need to wait for Norman to get home from work.
They're so good that I didn't even, on a nerd geek level, get that it was Winona Ryder and like the guy from the Goonies in a show together until like the internet told me, and I was like, oh my god, that's right. Yeah, that is. I was disappointed casting, but it doesn't feel like it.
Right.
I was disappointed in I don't know what like clickbait seeking news, quote unquote news franchise was doing it. I think it was like The Insider. And it was like, here's why Bob looks so familiar. He's been in a ton of popular movies. I'm like, yeah. Like he's been in.
Oh my
he's shot
gosh.
at, like, he's not. How do you watch Stranger Things 2? It's like this guy playing Bob seems real familiar. I wonder where I saw him.
Guys, is it weird that I still, every time I see Sean Astin, the first thing I think of is him in 50 First Dates? Is that
No, me
weird?
too. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, good. All right,
That's
good.
the weirdest
Okay.
thing I've
I think
ever
of
heard.
Rudy.
I don't think if Nick
is
backs
that-
up,
I
it's not
usually go
weird. I
Rudy.
think that's weird. Yeah, Rudy or
Is
Sam.
Rudy-
Obviously
Rudy-
Sam. Who are you people?
Changed in high school.
Yeah.
Rudy, right?
It's Samwise Gamgee.
But it's always
Right?
good to see Sean Astin though.
Yes. Oh, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just become such a beloved sight, I think, for fans of film
Of
and
everything.
TV.
And he just
Yeah.
has such an open presence, and he's willing to be vulnerable and willing to look silly. And
Yeah, and
It's
and
great.
you know, I think right now, not to get to whatever, but it's just a cool character to see on TV right now.
sure,
Just like just a straight white dude who's just like so decent and kind and like open.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's just yeah, it's kind of like
He's like
yeah,
he's like your best friend's dad. Like
yeah.
that's not
Like
your
the
dad,
really nice
like
one.
your best friend's dad.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
He's,
definitely not
he's
your
the
dad.
kind of dad that like if something happened to you, he could come pick you up and it wouldn't be like super weird.
Yes, yes.
And he's the guy that like when you and your best friend have like a sleepover, he like comes down. He's like, "Hey guys, what's going on? What's going on
He
down
sits
here?
and
You guys doing
watches the
anything?"
movie for like
Yeah.
10 minutes, and then it's
Yeah.
silent, and then he leaves.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
good.
I
Yeah,
brought you guys some extra
cool.
soda if you need it. Yeah.
That's totally him. You guys want to play some board games? I brought those down too.
Yeah.
I remember
No
More
pressure
trips,
though.
more
No
trips.
pressure.
I remember
Oh,
watching the
man.
first couple episodes of Stranger Things 2 and being like, boy, I almost like don't want the supernatural stuff to happen because I'm having so much fun just seeing these characters like enjoy Halloween.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
it's kind of like with the World's End where you're like, I could watch a version where this just goes the way they all planned it.
Well, I
Normal
think-
things.
Yeah. I think that is part of the appeal of
Normal
like
things.
yeah,
Yes.
normal things.
Normal
Just
things.
call it things.
Standard thing.
Because we already have better things. and we
What
have
if that's
stranger
how?
things.
What if
Let's call
that's
it
how they
things.
turn it around in season 3? They're just like, yeah, no, nothing weird is
Regular
gonna happen
stuff.
this season.
They've been through enough.
They've been through enough.
Stranger Things
Scott,
3.
Scott, I need to get like a take from you and Nick on an idea because your description of Sean Astin as like your friend's dad.
Yeah.
Okay, picture in like 20 or 30 years, Sean Astin as Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I can get
see, I'd say
behind that.
right
I
now.
love
No.
With the homecoming
The only
timeline
reason
now.
I don't want that is because then I have to watch Uncle Ben and also Samwise die. So no,
Well.
thank you.
But
Scott, I think it was Scott who presented the idea to me once of like in the sequel, it should just like open or whatever. There should just be cell phone footage of Uncle Ben and Aunt May together,
Mm-hmm.
Aw, that'd be really sweet.
and
yeah.
it's just like them like at Christmas or something, and just being like, okay, see, he was there. We can say his name now,
Okay, that's fair.
and but you're not gonna, of course, you know, we're not gonna see him gunned down again. That would be
Yeah, no,
insane.
thank you.
No thanks.
It's in the middle of Homecoming 2. They just have that flashback.
It's hard to talk about without spoilers, so we should all
Sure.
be careful. But I have gotten a text from Kestra saying, "Talk about Steve."
Uh-huh.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Oh, he's great.
I don't know what to say. Like he's
Steve
great,
is-
but I don't want to spoil much.
Well, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think it is important that like the thing that's interesting about Steve is that they created him to be a bully,
Mhm.
failed, and then
and turned him around.
and then
Yeah.
like just rolled him into like the awesome babysitter, cool
Right.
guy character.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
like-
like works.
This
Yeah,
season.
it's crazy, and so much so that they're like, I guess we have to create another bully.
It's like they didn't plan on the actor being that likable.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then they create a new bully. They create a new bully, and they have to make to make sure the Steve problem doesn't happen again. They're just like, no, he's
Irredeemable.
racist,
Yeah.
sexist.
Oh god.
He's just
disgusting.
he's a disgusting, horrible human being, and everyone should hate him. He has a bullet. I mean, he's the worst.
Oh, it's so
He is
gross.
amazing.
Man.
He's like a Pennywise fantasy creation of a human.
Well, but no, he's like the bullies in it. He's like the
Yeah,
bullies
yeah.
in like most Stephen
Every
King
Stephen
things.
King book, yeah.
Yeah, where they're already monstrous before any.
Yeah.
You know, the type of bully where you're literally afraid they will kill you. It's not
Yeah.
just always going to take my money. I
We're
think
like
this person will murder me.
the two backup bullies are like, hey Trent, calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it down, man.
What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
I'm curious, like where that change in Steve's character came from, because like the seeds of it are definitely there in season 1 when he like cleans up the graffiti, or when he turns back and goes like inside and attacks the monster.
Yeah. And
like,
by the end, you're like, oh, you're so rooting for him by the finale.
Yeah, like he has these character elements that are in place, and then they just like, they just really make it work in this season.
I'm pretty sure it was like while they were shooting first season, they decided to add Steve into it more. Like I think they already had the idea of him being like dickish and then like turns on his friends a little bit. But I think the idea of him coming in at the end and having the bat and everything
that was definitely a late decision.
It reminds
we
me
didn't
of-
know Steve was going to go in.
It reminds me of when you hear about how the character of Andy Dwyer was supposed to be in Parks and Rec.
Right. Yes.
Like he's just supposed to be Anne's douchey boyfriend that you hate, but then you get Chris Pratt and you just accidentally fall in love with this character.
It evolves.
Yeah, and they have to create a reason for him to stay in the show.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at one of those people in Geek by Night. So
that's true. That's 100% true.
Much obliged, folks. Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, so that all started with you asking me what I had been watching. So I watched Stranger Things. I watched for the show I watched the pilot of The Gifted.
Yeah, that was gonna be mine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go first.
Yeah, well, because I was gonna say like The Gifted is it's so interesting because it's one of those shows that while I'm watching it, I love every second of it, and then as soon as I stop, I forget about it. And I'll get like 3 weeks behind, and I'll be like, because every time I'll go to my Hulu and I'll see it, and I'll be like, do I want to watch The Gifted? And I'll mull it over, and I'm like, I don't think I'm really in the mood for that, and I'll watch something else. And it's one of those shows to me, but that doesn't mean it's bad, because like when I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh, this show is so good. It's like the X-Men show I always wanted.
Maybe I should try it.
You know,
there's some sort of like slippery element around it where like your brain just slides off it, because even in the marketing, like I keep being like, oh yeah, that's right up my alley. I will definitely watch that. Oh my god, Amy Acker's in an X-Men thing. I will definitely watch. And then I never watched it. I didn't.
Yeah. You see those bus ads all over LA, and it just looks so forgettable. It just looks like it's a white family just like looking nervous. Right. And
that's the issue for me, is like the allegory is kind of dumb, and the character use is like.
Did they do it too white?
No, it's like there could have been better ways to tell this story. Frankly, I mean, if I'm going to do an X-Men TV show, I don't know if this would have been my way in, which is a silly complaint. I understand, but my bigger one is that having watched the pilot, everybody's powers are like hand waving, like everybody's powers is just like. Ooh,
purple
like,
magicians.
I get it. Particle effects are really easy, but like, where's anything else? Where's the Colossus, the Wolverine? Where's the team?
It's not in the budget. I mean, I mean, it's a first season show, and I would venture a guess that they spent most of their budget getting Bryan Singer to direct the pilot.
Great choice.
Unfortunately,
sure, it's only going to get better with age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that decision will age greatly.
I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying.
Saying that's where the money went. Yeah.
Okay.
The money went there, and then
you know the great thing about Pompeii is the location.
I think that's where most of the budget went. Unfortunately, the thing is, I think that they were trying to find a way to do a mutant story on television in a way that like we have to pretend no one has ever seen an X-Men movie, because that's what a network is going to want. And I really like it. Like I don't know. Like I really do think, like, powers aside, like, okay, that's not their fault. That has nothing to do with them. That it really doesn't. I mean, it might have to do with who's giving them money, but that's not the creator's problem. I like the characters. I think the characters are interesting enough, but I think that what they're finding, I think, trouble with is the balance right now between plot and character, and they're leaning a little too much into plot and not enough into character. And I think it's because they're afraid to like slow down, because if they slow down, they might lose viewers. I mean, it's just it's a tough balance to hit, but like I'm really impressed with like the way that they do certain things, like the way that they bring the Sentinels in by making it a government organization of people hunting down mutants.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. Like, as far as like, if you're gonna do a low budget version of Sentinels, like that's kind of a cool way to do it. I don't know. I find it
literal
clever.
Sentinels. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's more than the movies even did.
Right.
Like,
Totally.
They had a robot.
Yeah.
During the era where they were trying to like de-comic book everything, you know?
Yeah.
In the 2000s.
Yeah.
I think with an X-Men franchise in particular, though, and you said they were leaning too much on story, and I haven't watched Gifted, but like with X-Men, you need to lean too much on characters. Like if you're going to lean one way, lean into characters, because that's what the X-Men is.
It's a soap opera.
Yeah.
It's the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to see if like Jean Grey and Scott are going to make out, or if like Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde are going to make out.
And then when
And
Jean
I
Grey's
think-
clone shows up, you want to believe that Scott's going to see through it, even though Jean's dead. And
But Fox shows are like notorious for not finding their footing until 6 episodes in. Like,
Yeah, and I think I'm committed to at least catching up to like where Scott is, because I've only seen the pilot. So and then the pilot was like very forgettable, but I do remember like ideas being cool. Like there's a part where the dad is like, well, you know, the mutants kept destroying cities and stuff. We couldn't just let that keep going. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that feels natural in a world. And
I just really love the pitch of a dad who works for the Sentinel program. His kids are mutants, and now they have to go on the run, and he has to protect them. But because he knows
stuff like
all
that,
the secrets and everything, like I really like that. I really like that.
Heroes.
Yeah, but Heroes.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping to hear. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you know, if there's a hint of what's to come, there is a little Easter egg where a character's ringtone is the 90s X-Men theme.
That was pretty cool. I did like that.
And just that little morsel is like, oh, maybe they are doing that. Maybe that is where their heart is at.
Yeah, I want to give them a half a season, because if a half a season goes by and it still, I still don't feel like, like right now I don't have a favorite character. Right. So if I get halfway through the season and I still don't have a favorite character, then I'm probably going to drop the show, because at that point it's like, all right, this is not for me.
Yeah. I watched way too much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm not a young man anymore.
Yeah, I did like 2 seasons of that. That's
I
tough.
hear it's good now. I hear it's gotten good, but it's like I have to drop 80 hours of my
I
life.
don't believe you.
I hear that every season.
People keep saying they're like, it's good now. It's good. It's real good now. And I'm like,
It never is. Don't ever believe them.
Hey, as one of the guys
so
who last
much.
year was like, Arrow's finally gotten good in season 5. Don't believe me. Don't do it. Like, no.
Yeah, but in a world where
I was
in
wrong.
a world where I'm not even caught up with Supergirl or The Flash or Legends of Tomorrow, like you really have to.
You got to be discerning.
It's crazy to say, but it's a really good era for superhero television.
But it's weird though that it's still not an era where it's like feasible money-wise to put superheroics on screen. Like the idea that like they had to make this many adjustments in The Gifted to like work around that.
That's a Fox problem.
Yeah.
I think that's a Fox problem, because CW lets them do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Like the Flash, like literally just has a guy in a wheelchair with plugs sticking out of his head.
It's
going,
wild.
I'm thinking. Like it's insane. Like I was like, how is this on a TV show? This is amazing.
When I was watching The Flash when I was watching Legends of Tomorrow last year, my favorite thing to do was my friend Hunter, who we were living in different states at the time, I would send him out of context videos of Captain Cold saying puns.
I love that.
Yes.
Or just because like they would zoom in on his face and he would just be like, "We," and the joke would just be like, "I said something in French." Like that. It's just so.
Amazing.
Sometimes I think I imagine episodes of Legends of Tomorrow.
It's the most fun show. This season especially.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel about Gotham. But like
in a bad way.
Wrong direction. Yeah.
but like in a good way.
Yeah, like did I have a nightmare about
because-
like a family. It was like a family show, but there were like serial murders.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've got all of these shows that I should be watching, but the season 3 of Gotham hit Netflix, so like I keep binging it because it's so stupid and bad, and I love it so much.
I love it.
I really want to.
60s. Oh, sorry.
I want to go back through Gotham because I watched the first season very consistently, and then I think a chunk of the second season. But the thing I realized in the first season, I don't know if it holds true, but I think they really are just trying to do it as like an emotional, romantic representation, because there was a lot of sequences where it's like, this doesn't have a time period. Last episode, they had typewriters. And in this episode,
I don't give a shit about
do they
any
have
of that.
And so I felt like episode to episode, they were like, no, this episode is set in the 50s, and this episode is from the 30s. And this one's in the 80s.
We got cell phone footage of the murder.
Yeah, and so it's like episode to episode. I'm like, are they playing it like they're transitioning like between different time periods?
Well, no, it's because they're basing it off of Tim Burton's Batman movies, and so and
so you have this weird like timeless pastiche, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of really good like set design. I remember from season 1, like there's a painting in the one room of
are the best.
The painting in the one room of Wayne Manor when like Jim Gordon is promising to find the killers and then like begging forgiveness for not finding the killer and stuff. I'm like, that painting in the background is like this Greek story and everything. I'm like, this is really like, I love the set design.
Yeah, you know, it's just from what I remember. Also, for what it's worth, the music is also really good. But yeah, this is gonna sound really weird if you know me and you know what I watch and enjoy and like. But I was kind of turned off by how violent Gotham was.
It is very violent.
It is turbo violent. Yeah,
yeah. And like in a very like, and you know, let me say, like I just watched like 30 slasher movies this past month.
There's like a certain way they balance the violence that can throw you off. I got the same. So I watched Tomorrowland for the first time just last night.
Yes.
And overall I liked it, but I think the director, because he directed The Incredibles also, he's got an issue with like inconsequential human death. And it like it happens in The Incredibles. It's like Dash, when he was getting chased, like he's responsible for the death like of a dozen humans.
Upwards of 30 people die in The Incredibles off screen.
Like explosive deaths. Like, and Dash is the youngest one, and he's responsible for it. And then in Tomorrowland, like robots just like kill 3 police officers. They just vaporize them, and there's zero consequence.
Well,
I mean, so I'm like, as a director, like I wish he wasn't making that choice because it really throws me off.
They were coming from an animation background. I mean, that's what happens. Is like you just kill people all willy nilly in animation. It doesn't matter because they're not real.
Yeah, and there's like a tone for the violence, and I think Gotham has that issue.
They're the common people. They don't matter. Only the individual matters, and the individual must rise up and no, I'm talking about Brad Bird. I'm talking about every Brad Bird movie.
I know.
Look, there might be some like weird ass politics going on under his stuff, but that dude, like,
I love his movies. I love his work on The Simpsons. I think he's a genius.
The Incredibles is amazing. I don't like to think too hard about what it's saying, but it is an amazing movie.
Yeah. I remember even as a kid being like, their votes are like, I don't know if I agree with that. And then for like a second, and then going back into the movie.
That's cool. I thought of it as a parallel track in my mind, and being like, okay, I'll just leave it there. I'll return to it later. There's a lot of David Harbour talk going on in the chat. By the way.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of distracting me.
He does really good work in Stranger Things. I'm glad he's finally in a movie in a show where he's not playing like a secret bad guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do want to be the new Bond villain though. That'd be rad.
Oh, that would be so cool. If they just I love it when they bring back good stuff from flawed movies like that.
Yep.
And I'm a Quantum of Solace apologist. I think
it's a great like 4th and 5th act of Casino.
There you go.
Yeah, it's great. Half of that movie.
If you ever have a free weekend,
one ridiculous block, it rules.
It's so much fun. I did that before Spectre came out.
Yeah. I'll try that one of these days.
It's like a lot of your life you're not going to get back. So but like, it's fun. Just like Bond once again is a single-minded murder machine.
I don't know why that reminded me of this,
Yeah.
but another fall TV, I guess it counts as fall TV, maybe late summer TV thing that not enough people are watching that I want to like just like put out there is American Vandal on Netflix. Have you guys seen that show?
No, I need to
yes.
see that.
Holy shit.
It's
My-
so good, you guys.
My girlfriend watched it without me, and
Oh, how dare she?
It-
Oh.
it's a bummer. Yeah.
I remember out loud. I literally haven't done this in a long. I literally binged it.
Mhm.
Me and my friend sat down. We watched episode 1, and we didn't. We were like, no, we have to. We kept saying one more episode, and then they would raise the stakes.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay.
And-
Obviously,
yeah.
like when somebody describes a show to you, you think like, oh, there's just the one joke. The joke is that we're gonna do a true crime series, like Serial or like whatever the other one was. But it's
Making a Murderer.
Making a Murderer or Serial, but it's about a very silly crime. And like that would be fine as a joke for like an SNL sketch. But what they do instead is they just like take it completely straight faced and say, yes, it's a silly crime, but it has really real implications for these characters. And
It matters to these kids.
it matters to these kids so much. And like as you go in, like probably by the end of the first episode, there's a moment where like a new piece of evidence will come up and you'll catch yourself being like, oh my God, they're right. Like the way they draw the dicks is different. Like, and now you're into it. Like,
I remember
totally
like,
locked
'cause I watched this with a friend, and I remember like standing up from my seat and being like, he lied about the text. It didn't come in when he said. And
yeah, or when you see the cell phone footage from the party and you're like,
and my friend Hunter was like, it isn't real. But you find yourself I say this, I know this is hyperbole, but I do think it's the best show about teenagers today.
yeah. It's like on the level of like Edge of 17 or something like that.
Yeah, Edge of 17,
Where
Mean
it's-
Girls. It's like it could only happen today in 2017.
Right. Yeah.
And it's about teenagers growing up now, and I just find that really exciting. And I don't have a lot of nostalgia for high school. I'm not one of those guys, but this show really made me miss high school.
Yeah.
And what my life was back then. It made me really like nostalgic for it. It's a very sweet show.
Yeah, especially as you learn more about like the filmmaker who's making it, because like in the world of the show, world of the show, it's not that this is a series produced by Netflix. This is a documentary made by one of the high school students in the school where this took place.
That's awesome.
Pete Maldonado. And like he and his like camera guy, like as you learn more about them and their friendship and like their drama starts to come into the effects of the investigation.
One of the most realistic male friendships I've ever seen in anything.
Yes, Sam and Pete in that are. It feels like high school. It feels like. I know we have a lot of like teenage like female teenage stories about like the weird power of a bond of friendship at that age and how it's like it's important to your development and it feels like deeper and alchemical.
You learn so many lessons about like empathy and
but there's very little about that like for just general boy friendships in that same way, and this felt like it was filling a gap in my I don't know.
Yeah, and I love Superbad. I can quote Superbad, but this feels more like, oh, this is actually who me and my friends were.
Yeah,
we weren't as crazy as like a Judd Apatow character, but we were like this.
Yeah,
and they feel like the characters in the show feel like real kids that you went to high school with, and your heart breaks with them for them. But it's also like really funny.
It's funny, but like it's not like it's laugh out loud, haha, laughs a minute. It's like the overall conceit is funny and there's great funny moments in it, but it's really just the drama that I stay there for the whole way through.
Yeah, it's if you listen to Serial and all you cared about was Sarah and Adnan, you will love American Vandal.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of teen drama, Riverdale's just a slasher film this season.
Dude, Riverdale, what is going on? Do you guys
literally
love
just a
Riverdale?
slasher film?
What?
Autumn.
That's weird.
I love
Yeah.
it. There's a murderer with he's got a whole like face mask and stuff, and he's killing people.
Yeah,
And they got to solve the mystery. Oh boy.
yeah. Last time it was one murder that we had to solve. This time it's like we have to stop this serial slasher
Yeah.
from like wrecking our town. I don't know what they're gonna do next season. Like I don't know how they're gonna escalate from
I
here.
hope
Is there gonna
to
be like
God-
a cult?
Yes, I hope to God next season is whenever they plan the Sabrina tie-in, and it's just crazy, weird supernatural shit. That's
Afterlife with Archie.
Yes,
that would be
well. They're planning a Sabrina show. They've said,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's in the cards.
Get me Madam Satan in there. Get me all of this like weird, creepy Salem crap happening, please. And by the time you make it to season 2 of Riverdale, like that could happen. That could totally happen. They don't care. They're just gonna go all out. It's just this weird, pulpy, the distillation of teen silliness. Why we have fun with those shows? Everybody's gorgeous. Everything is shot gorgeous. Everything is silly. They're so earnest.
Yeah,
it's such
as seriously as they think it is.
I will say I found it hard to get into when I was trying to watch it week to week. When it was coming out in season 1. Yeah. And then when it hit Netflix, I gave it a second shot, and binging that show is so much more satisfying because you can sort of like click into it better. At least I could. Yeah. As like, you know, and the same thing happened with Gotham. Like I had to quit Gotham week to week, but binging it, I can just click into that world and the absurdity of that world and be like, I'm in it. I'm in every week. Yeah.
But one night, one crazy night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's exactly. Especially with season 4 of Gotham. Just to go back to Gotham for 1 second. I'm gonna preach for it. Season 4, Bruce is like just Batman without ears now. Like he's just got like a mask. And the kid is so good. David Mazouz is like a top 5 Batman. No joke.
Wow.
Like, I love this show because I'm hoping in like 5 or 10 years they just give this
make a Batman show
because he rules. He's really good. By like the season 2 finale, they're doing Bruce Wayne Boy Detective. He's got like a black turtleneck and a trench coat, and he's
I've always liked this kid.
Yeah, Angus McDonald
is so good. And Sean Pertwee is like weirdly dark casting as Alfred, and he's great because he's just like he's a murder guy. Like he slaps kids in season 2. We don't talk about it anymore. Like he's stitching up like kid Bruce Wayne's wounds after fights and stuff. Like they're just doing Batman.
I always like the team up episodes of Alfred and Bullock.
Yes, so good. Yeah,
those are always good episodes.
Bullock is so cool. He's so good.
He was my favorite thing in the first 2 seasons that I watched.
Yeah. He's the captain now, so like his like having to manage Gordon because Gordon's the only good cop is sort of their thing in season 4.
And in some ways, Gordon's the worst good cop to have around.
Exactly. Like he's not a good cop. He's a bad dude. But he's like the one guy who actually cares about vaguely upholding the law if it concerns him.
My favorite part of season 3 so far has been Gordon was fired from the GCPD. He becomes a detective / bounty hunter. Yep. Like a private detective / bounty hunter. And then literally after being like he's just like hard drinking, like everything
full noir.
And then
suits. This is the kid from the OC, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually he has a dream about his father being like, hey, like, you know, the best thing about being a cop is that you're above the law. And he's like, you're right. And then he goes back to the beginning and he just goes, hey, can I have my job back? And they're like, totally. Here's your bag.
That's how it works. Yeah.
I need to get back on the show.
It's that insane.
Yeah.
And now that they've thrown in like actual Batman vanishes, it's just taking it to a level of pure.
It's pretty magical at this point.
Oh, it's great. The guy they have playing Mr. Freeze too is amazing.
Yeah.
He was like the bodyguard in House of Cards.
He's
weird bit of casting for them, and he's so just like dryly funny and weird. Like he's just like a weird paced dude. I don't know.
I remember truly thinking that this was a show written on a weekly basis.
Yes. Yes.
I'm still not convinced that it's not. It almost feels like somebody writes an episode and then ends on a dare for the next writer to pick it up and keep going.
Yeah, and then Fish Mooney comes back to life. Go.
Yeah. Oh no, what?
And now Biddy Wong is Hugo Strange. Ha ha ha. You're stuck with that. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. He's not the Joker.
Nope. But is he?
Where is he?
It looks like
Did he cost this guy? Joker? Why did we hit him so much if we were just going to kill him?
Yeah. Oh man, it's nuts. So what?
I don't know.
What
you
else?
told me it's your turn.
What else? Andrew, you watching anything else?
Not anything in particular that's fiction. I watch a lot of HGTV and DIY Network. Rehab Addict is back. I'm enjoying the expansion of the Flipper Flop franchise because the original was my least favorite. And most recently, Log Cabin Kings has. It is so good.
Wait, there's a show called Log Cabin Kings? Is it just about building log cabins?
Yes, like professional, full on. Like the biggest one I think was 11,000 square feet.
Oh my god!
Clear my goddamn schedule. I need to watch
so
something
good.
11,000 square foot
Log Cabin Kings, and it's like a Canadian company, Pioneer Log Cabins, and they do 2 cabins a week. There's like one where they're on the site, so they build it. I've learned so much about log cabins in the last so they build the entire log cabin on their site, and then they disassemble it, identify every piece, and then ship it where they're going and reassemble it in like 4 days. Yes. Is their whole that's how they frame it up, is like 4 days.
Logs. Oh man, that's great.
So and everything has to like fit just right, and so they've got these big cranes that are trying to drop all the pieces in, and they have like 50-pound hammers. They're just like hammering all the pegs in.
Yes.
And
is everyone Canadian, and are they like really
pretty much
like,
everyone?
Oh my god! Okay, I need to watch this.
So pretty much everyone's Canadian, and there's like my 2 favorite people. I can't remember one of them. I can't remember his name, but the guy that is always like, always my favorite. His name's Bayat, and his name's spelled like beat, B-E-A-T, but it's Bayat.
Awesome.
And he is the best. Like he always handles everything super well. And then like there's one episode, the boss comes and they're like checking out the whole like cabin that he's constructed on site. Like, okay, now where are the 5 pieces of furniture? And he's like, what? There weren't 5 pieces of furniture on the order form. He's like, well, we need to have a queen size bed, a bench, a table, and all this stuff by tomorrow morning and get it done. And it's like, okay, and so he just like calls people in. He's like, okay, we're getting the swing done, we're getting this table done, we're getting these benches done. And then partway through, the boss comes back and he's like, to make this up to the client, who like the client doesn't know anything went wrong, but he says to make this up to the client, we're making an extra table. And then so they have to like cut a big chunk off of this 800-year-old tree, and then they have like an intern count the rings to mark historical events. He's like, this is Columbus. Whoa. This ring represents, your birth to the client and things like that. And so like they just keeps having to step up. And then by the end, he's like, okay, so we installed all this stuff, but I feel like there should be a light. And so he's now putting himself 150% beyond the mark. He's like, we should install a light here. and so he's raised the bar for himself too. And by the end, it's just, Bayat, like, you're so good. You're too good. You're too good.
I'm just imagining that scene from Age of Ultron where Cap is like chopping wood. I'm just picturing that as like a show.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes they get out like a 10-foot chainsaw to cut these large chunks out of like these trees are huge.
Yeah.
And like they talk about like how many tons or how many pounds. I'm like, I don't even have a context for how big that is. And they always like, before the commercials, they always tease that it's like gonna fall on someone or someone's getting knocked off of something, and you're like, no, like, is the world about to end? And then it's always okay. But like, and the crane operators have like the worst job, because if they screw up, they're suddenly dropping like a 5,000-pound log on 4 people.
Jesus.
But it is such a good show. Log Cabin Cakes. Also, it makes me want to make a like ungodly amount of money so that I can afford one of these things.
Yeah,
like, how can I get the $10 million it's going to take to buy the land and then the cabin?
Yeah. No, but see, once you get to the point where you have bought the land, you'll have watched enough Log Cabin Kings that you can
just do it myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and Kestra is reminding me on the chat. So these cabins are always huge, like 36,000 or 3,600 square feet. 36,000, that's crazy. 3,600 square feet. But like 3-bedroom.
What?
That's a ton of space for 3 bedrooms. Why so much space, everybody? Like, don't you want to have people there?
Put it in the
but I don't know.
hall.
Like,
That's weird.
they always have like a ton of space and like so few bedrooms, and I'm always perplexed by it. I'm like, why is there only 2 bedrooms here?
So weird.
That's awesome.
But it's so good. Log Cabin Kings.
I think it's kind of a line in the sand. So how many bedrooms are there? There's 2.
They know how to build the house. They don't know how to build the rooms.
Right.
Cass, are you watching anything else right now?
Voltron.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has been watching it, but season 4 just came out last
You're on
month.
season 4 already?
Well, okay, so that's my thing. Season 3 dropped in like September, but it was only 8 episodes, and then they're like, season 4 is in October, and it was like 6. So it's like
they clearly split
it's
season in half.
like when Battlestar Galactica was coming out, they would do like season 3 and then season 3.5. Like that's basically what it is.
Okay.
But they were only like a month apart.
Something like that. Or
Yeah.
I think one was in August and then one was in October.
It's like streaming services are changing how we view the TV season system, guys.
Yeah.
It's like they're changing the game.
I wasn't a big fan of season 4 because it was like the back half of everything they set up in season 3. And I would rather have just waited for them to release it all in one chunk. But I think like some of it got leaked and then the company freaked out and they had to like.
Ooh, didn't that happen with Korra?
Yeah, Korra had a really weird, like they basically pulled the plug on it, and so they did the whole last season about a month after the third season, and all online and all at once.
Yeah,
so they did have a really weird like finale breakdown.
It's crazy. I remember being a really weird time.
It was the last season and a half, like the last couple episodes of the third season, I think, didn't get released.
And it's useful to bring it up because it is the main crew of Voltron is made up of a lot of alumni of Korra and Avatar.
Oh, okay.
Like so this season, they tried to do like an Ember Island Players episode kind of thing, like but the equivalent for Voltron. But it like I personally did not enjoy it, and I got so much secondhand embarrassment from it. But my friends all loved it, so I guess it's like different strokes for different.
Was it just like really fan servicey, or?
Yes, it was like super duper fan servicey, and I'm not. I love Ember Island Players because it comes right before the finale of Avatar, but like they just kind of threw it in this season, and I feel like the plot has kind of like I don't really know what they're doing right now. Like the storytelling, I feel like has kind of taken a dive, but I'm still.
They just did something similar on Broad City, because they did apparently they wrote an episode that was an ode to sliding doors of all things, like the 90s movie where Gwyneth Paltrow either gets on the subway or misses the subway, and like how her life would be different, right?
The sliding doors change it from the subway. Yes,
exactly. And so they did an episode that was an ode to that about how the two characters met, and they wrote it in like season 1. And Amy Poehler, who's a producer on the show, was like, no one cares about this now.
Yeah.
Don't do this right now. No one cares how these characters met. You have to do it later. So they finally made it as the season 4 premiere, and it was so funny and so weird and good. Yeah.
I'm really digging
really good.
Season. It's really good. Yeah. Like even things where like you hear the idea of it and like, I don't know how they're gonna pull that off. It's beautiful. Like the drug trip episode.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, okay, they're gonna do an episode where we're seeing what they see during the drug trip. Like that as an idea that makes me nervous, but the way they executed it was just so smooth and beautiful and funny and touching.
Yeah, and like using it in organic in a way like, no, we already have an artist, the guy that does our openings every week.
Yes,
have him do it, so it doesn't feel like a gimmick.
Yeah, it's like of a piece with the rest of it. Yeah,
it feels like an extension of the. Yeah, I love Broad City. I think it's. I think it spits in the face of the idea that comedy has to be built on misery. Because I think I remember watching an episode and thinking like every one of these characters are experiencing different kinds of pleasure. Like and it's still like really funny, and it's great. And I don't know. I think about it a lot. Like, do I want the show to change? Do I want it to just stay the same until it ends? Like, but yeah, I'm so consistently impressed by what those writers and people are able to do.
Yeah, great. It is. So we forgetting anything?
No, that's awesome. What's going on right now?
Sorry.
So many more things I could talk about.
What else, Michael?
Is anybody else watching American Horror Story Cult?
No.
I watched the first episode.
It's really good.
It is. Oh, good.
It's really good. It's one of the few shows I can really say is like, if we're talking about 2017 television, it is a show about and like in and soaked in 2017. Like,
Interesting.
if you're not ready to look into the screaming face of this thing we did.
I was about to say,
many
I don't
things
know
we
if I want to watch a 2017 show.
Yeah.
It's wild because it's like, and it's because it's cults. Like, they're
Written
really
by Ryan
into
Murphy.
this like cult thing. And the last few episodes, they've been doing flashbacks to other cults. And Evan Peters not only plays like the modern cult leader, they have him play previous ones. And, like, his Jim Jones is insane. And then he also plays Andy Warhol in one episode. It's just like,
I mean, that fits. Yeah.
they're going all the way. It's
You know when you hear about a friend at a party that you haven't seen in a while,
yeah,
you're like, good. Like,
rad. Yeah.
how's Brad
is
doing?
great.
How's American Horror Story doing? Well, Evan Peters played Andy Warhol last week.
You're like,
Good.
Rad.
Good
Yeah,
for
and
them.
Lena Dunham is Valerie Solanas. So like that episode
Good
is
for them.
wild. Yeah, they just bring in like a lot of a new cast this year too. So like Colton Haynes is in it, Alison Pill is in it. Like man, there's so many good. Billy Lord's in it. Yeah, the cast is nuts.
You know, I've seen the first episode. Ryan Murphy is really hit or miss for me. Like I think the first season of Glee is one of the best seasons of TV.
I agree.
The end. Don't watch anything else, you know?
It's the first few episodes of that I'm like, oh, it's just going to be more of this. All right.
Yeah, I watched. I love the first season of Scream Queens, but I couldn't get through the second season. I think Billy Lord is like that's one of my favorite comic performances on TV in the past few years. Was her character in Scream Queens?
She's terrific. She's great in Cult. She's a similar kind of
like deadpan,
slow simmering deadpan kind of character.
I really want to see her in more stuff going forward. And so I was really grateful. It felt weird, like as a fan of film and stuff, I was like grateful for Ryan Murphy to like include her in the repertoire and the company.
Yeah,
because like she could get a new character to play every season, and that's the thing is like I love
a totally different show every year too. That's so like if this year's not like I love Hotel. I think Roanoke is really cool. Like but. You know, the first season is not my favorite. You know,
the first season's great. I love the first season.
Different strokes. There you go.
My favorite, my personal favorite is Asylum, and I've been told that's a
nice. Okay. Nice. We were just talking about Asylum on Hannibal, the Hannibal podcast recently. Actually.
Oh, cool.
Well, as far as we've still got. I don't look, guys. I don't know why I haven't given up yet, but I'm gonna watch Punisher.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I'm going to.
Was Defenders good? Like
it was.
No.
It was okay. That's not true. That's not true. It wasn't not good. It was just. It was just so fine that it was like it could be painful at times.
Okay, so
I
didn't
count trophy. Yeah, world's world's okayest dad. Like one of
world's okayest dad. Yeah. What were you saying, Michael?
On it.
Well, you were saying it's not bad.
No.
Would you use the word good in any sense?
It is adequate.
Okay. Is Jessica Jones in it enough? I'll watch that if she's in it.
You know what? I will say this. It does feature the best Jessica Jones, Luke Cage scene in all of the shows.
Okay.
All right. So
which episode is it in and like what time code?
Yeah.
The final, it's in the final episode in the last 10 minutes.
Writing that down and skipping ahead because
wasn't Sigourney Weaver the bad guy in Defenders?
Yeah, and it was boring as hell.
Really?
Yeah. She was super boring. The only thing that's cool that they did was there's an episode where because I'm not spoiling anything, right? Like Elektra comes back. You all know this.
Everybody,
right?
that was the whole point of it.
So they bring Elektra back, and when they bring her back, she's like freaking out, and Sigourney Weaver is like holding her and like trying to calm her down, and I'm like, oh, aliens.
Yeah.
I like they're doing aliens. Oh, look at that. Interesting. But yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not good. It's just completely adequate. But
And
those
to me,
two,
that's worse.
But
Yeah.
those two
Yeah.
writers aren't coming back. That was the last thing they're ever going to do. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I guess what I didn't count on, I was just so surprised at how, if you watched Daredevil, if you watched Jessica Jones, if you watched Luke Cage, you don't need to watch the Defenders when it comes back, when the shows come back next season.
yeah,
Because nothing happened.
right.
No, nothing of consequence.
They are so essentially the same characters.
Well, the only thing that's different,
they
the
were
only thing,
affected by nothing that they learned about the other one.
the only thing that's different is that Daredevil stuff is different. That's the only thing that's different.
Break, like I
From
haven't
what I
seen.
heard, they're just going to do Born Again again.
Like,
Yeah,
you've never seen a
no,
TV
the
show in
first
your
time.
life. I'm sure the finale of The Defenders was super shocking. For
Why?
you.
What do you mean Born Again again? They haven't done Born Again.
Well, the first season was already setting up like they were playing with some of the Kingpin Born Again. It's just like it's a story from 1986. I did this in the last podcast more than I did. Like it's an old story. I don't need it.
I am looking forward to Daredevil season 3 just because I love that show and I love
It's a fun show.
Wilson Fisk is just a character that I'm so in love with D'Onofrio and
Yeah, but they're not going to do new stuff. They're going to adapt the stuff they haven't adapted before.
Yeah.
Because why make your job harder? I guess. Like, let's just do the thing.
Stuff in these
Yeah.
shows that is
And
a
I'm
mess.
not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying from their perspective, why work harder when we can work half as hard and just copy the thing that the other person did?
yeah, and I guess it makes you more appreciative of shows like The Good Place where like that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like we are going to make above average product.
Yeah.
And I guess The Defenders was almost offensively average for me when I was watching it. But that being said, I am going to watch The Punisher because that half of Daredevil was so
He's
compelling for me that I'm.
I thought Bernthal was so excellent. In that.
I find that I'm not super interested in the military side of it because what I'm afraid it's going to be is everyone's like, man, people really loved American Sniper. I like see everybody made a face. I really do think that's what they're gonna do, and I'm a little afraid of that. But I'm mostly excited about Jessica Jones season 2 because they have nothing to copy.
Yeah.
Fists. Like they're just gonna be making it up, and that's
And it's a full season where everybody in the writers group is a woman, I believe.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones season.
and
Oh
directors.
shit! Really?
Yeah, and all the directors.
Yeah.
I will say I did like where Jessica ended in The Defenders. I think that was like a cool,
Mhm.
Okay.
like her little.
Yeah, that was that scene I was referencing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like she's back.
I
I'm into
really want the Marvel Netflix stuff to bring me back in, but I've pretty much been out since Daredevil season 2 and Jessica Jones. I just haven't had enough interest to come back in with enough people saying it's like, no, it's real good.
I think
I'm
Luke Cage
passionate
broke me.
about it.
Yeah. I think
So
that was
I want to come back in. I just need it to be like good enough. Now I do have a question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the background of Potter's like workshop, he's been building the Stiltman suit. Is it done yet?
Not that I know of. I don't know that it'll ever get done, unfortunately.
But it's been more and more done every time. Every season of Daredevil, Stiltman's getting closer.
They
and
need to
closer,
make.
guys. Also, I really want to see Gladiator. I want to see the Gladiator Daredevil fight.
I just want to see a new Daredevil costume because that costume has got to go.
Yeah, the costume hasn't been great either. Which when they nail the costumes, I'm more inclined to watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Charlie Cox and Jessica Jones. Any scene with them, I thought was really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They had really good chemistry. They weren't ever romantic. It was like a new friendship being born.
And it was,
fun to watch.
I really liked Danny and Luke just because like
I like
Luke
Danny and Matt.
Okay, well let me. I liked Luke and Danny because it was just like constantly like Luke just being like Danny would be like, man, everything is just terrible, and he's just like, try being black. Like that was like every theme between the two of them, and it was awesome.
Oh my goodness.
It was pretty good. I liked that a lot. But overall, it's not great. It's just
there.
But I think more than anything this year, I'm like the rest of this year, I'm looking forward to is, and maybe I'm the solo person, but The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I can't wait for that to drop on Amazon. So
What?
Right, the new
Amy Sherman Palladino show.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
It's about it's about
Palladino.
Yeah, it's about a woman becoming a comedian in the late 1950s. So like what happens is like her husband is a wannabe comedian, and in the pilot she finds out that he's like not a real comedian because she's just stealing other comedians' bits.
Oh.
And he bombs one night on his like, you know, stolen bits, and then he just like gets in a tizzy and just like leaves her, and she gets drunk and goes to the comedy club and like just gets on stage because she's like, so this is what it's all about. Ooh. And then everyone's like, we can't hear you, and she turns around and she just like starts spilling her guts about like how shitty her husband is, and like how like, you know, how hard it is being a woman, and like how she does all these things to be a good wife, and he didn't even care because he was having sex with the secretary and all this stuff. And it's like really witty and really funny comedy. And this other woman who was watching her that runs the comedy place was like, and like went to her and was like, you should be a comedian. And she's like, no, that's stupid. I'm a mom. And she's like, no, seriously. I'll like help you become a comedian. Like you should be a comedian. And so like the show is going to be about her becoming a comedian in like the late 1950s as a woman, which is going to be, it's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's such a good, the pilot is like literally one of the best pilots I've ever seen.
Nice.
What's it called again?
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
You can watch the pilot. It's up on Amazon. It's real good. Yeah, so that's what I'm mostly looking forward to.
Nice.
I'm like this close to anticipating it more than Star Wars. Like that's how much I'm anticipating it. Yeah. Well, Amy Sherman Palladino.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. So
man, let her write a Star Wars.
Let her do whatever she wants. Yeah.
Give her a Marvel.
It's like Melissa McCarthy in like an Imperial uniform.
I'd watch that flick.
Bossing around people. That's
normal things. Star Wars.
He's the cook on the Death Star.
I'm trying to think. Are there any women in the Empire in the films, or is that only in the other materials in the TV shows and comics?
I think Force Awakens may have been
Phasma.
Oh yeah,
just Phasma.
But that's the first order.
Well, no. In Force Awakens, there were just regular female Imperial officers, but
there were a couple, but not in a lot of scenes.
I don't think
like a couple on like that bridge, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's weird when you think about it.
Almost like they're made.
You know what? Not even talk about TV, but speaking of Star Wars, I'm currently halfway through listening to the audiobook version of Star Wars Lost Stars. By Claudia Gray, and it is an excellent book if you're a Star Wars fan. It's a young adult book about a boy and a girl from a kind of not backwoods, but like, you know, planet out in the sticks, like out on the outer rim.
Yeah.
And they see the Empire as their ticket off their planet, and it follows them as they rise through the ranks of the Empire in congruence with the trilogy.
Oh, whoa.
So like they're in the like the Death Star happens right after they graduate.
Wow.
It's like some of their friends Lost Stars, yeah. And it's like a love story. It's like a young people in war story. It humanizes the Empire. There's a chilling scene where a character that you have grown to love, like a protagonist, rationalizes the destruction of Alderaan to another character.
Oh
wow.
And it is scary, and it is the most effective I think Star Wars has ever been in dealing with like social like stuff that we can use in our real life.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, this is how they do it. This is how they brainwash the youth. This is how they make them feel a fierce loyalty to a regime that doesn't have their best interests at heart.
Yeah.
And there's like the part where they meet Darth Vader, and they're like, I know he looks like the embodiment of evil, but he's like a really good guy at heart.
You gotta get to know him.
I know everything visually and aurally about him seems bad, but like,
It's like, yeah, he chokes people, but
Just like annoying people won't do the job.
McAdrick in the chat room would like to add an addendum to our female Imperial officer discussion. The main character of Battlefront 2 is an Imperial officer and a female.
That's true.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I cannot wait.
hopefully
to
that
play
is a sign of more female representation in the Empire to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming the Empire isn't completely destroyed by the end of the next movie.
Well, the Empire doesn't exist.
First Order. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry. Oh no.
First Order.
The Empire was fine. It's the First Order that's got the issue.
Exactly.
Don't compare the First Order to the Empire; they're completely different.
Or wait, no, the First Order. The First Order
doesn't mean that you support the Empire.
The First Order is doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I have a dumb thing I'm looking forward to.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So this doesn't really relate to the actual way television is distributed anymore, but in terms of talking about like how we've been playing with like time shifted binging and how that affects us differently, I'm really looking forward to learning out about what the deal is with the island on Lost, because I'm watching Lost for the first time. It's all, and I
started rewatching a little bit.
Unspoiled somehow. I'm pretty sure it was spoiled for me.
Wow.
And I just forgot it. But I genuinely have no idea what's going on, and I don't have to wait the weeks in between. We can just like scope through it. And so I'm like,
that's great, man.
I'm into it, man.
I've watched Lost all the way through twice, and the first time was week by week as it was coming out on TV, but the second time was in college with like two of my friends, and it was like weirdly like a major tenet of our friendship was like watching all of Lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited.
I need to
I love when you can get unspoiled like that. It's so
I need to do a rewatch because my girlfriend hasn't seen it and she's always been curious about it, but she knows how much I hate the final season. But I wonder if rewatching it as a complete thing will help.
Might change your perspective.
But it won't. But then again, I remember, no, it won't, because they were making it up as they went along, so it doesn't matter.
I will say that having binge watched the first 5 seasons in order to watch the 6th one week to week, I really enjoyed the final season. So
I love the final. I love the final episode.
I mean,
I think Lost is a good show.
Every time I watch it.
So yes, watch Lost and enjoy it.
I think it's 6/7 of a good show.
6/7 of a good show. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that to the bank.
Enjoy it as long as you can.
It's fun. It's also fun too, like almost as a historical document, like understanding bit by bit references that have been like poking out here and there, or like storytelling trends, or like the careers of people that were launched by this. Like, I if I'm ever sitting here like, why does Damon Lindelof keep getting big shit? And then like I watch this, I'm like, oh, okay, like this was a huge deal. Everybody liked this.
I will never. I don't think I'll ever be as obsessed with something as I was with Lost right around like season 2, season 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
I think that was everybody.
Going to the library to check out an occurrence at Owl Creek.
I want to be able to quote that stupid song right now. What is it? Hey now, everybody, or what is the song?
You all, everybody. You all,
everybody. Yeah.
It's really bad. It's fun though. Where am I right now, Bethany? We're at they're in the hatch now.
Oh
We're in the
yeah.
middle of season 2.
Yeah,
It's season 2, and the world has changed
So
dramatically.
Desmond shit.
So I don't know anything.
Desmond is one of the greatest characters on that show.
The
Yeah.
best.
It's a crime that Henry
I love
Cusick
Faraday.
never won an Emmy for that.
Yeah.
Dude seems like a cool dude. I'm just loving all these actors. They're fun.
Yeah, they're great.
And you haven't even met my favorite characters yet.
I have met, is one of them Letty from Fast and Furious? Because I have met them.
No, I love Michelle Rodriguez. But
Okay. Yeah. Good luck on all of it.
Oh wait, I don't know if you've met someone.
Oh, the
someone.
Jonathan Howell wants us to talk about DuckTales and how
Hell
good it is.
yeah, let's talk about DuckTales.
Because that show, it's ridiculously good.
I'm looking forward to being able to binge all of it because I don't have cable, so I need to get like access to Disney.
What
XD.
service is it only going to be on Disney XD? Like, how do you access for binging later?
I don't know.
I'm probably just gonna buy
Gravity
a season
Falls is on
pass.
Hulu.
I
Okay.
only watched the premiere that they like released. That was like
Yeah,
Me too.
me too.
Yeah, but it was
So-
excellent. So I'm just gonna wait and then just sort of sprint
Yeah,
through it
that's
all.
what I was.
Yeah,
Oh God, just
Yeah,
cartoons,
that hour-
cartoons
that
are
pilot
really
was really
good
great.
right now.
cartoons are great right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, because Zach and I are talking about the Spider-Man XD Disney XD
It's
cartoon.
good.
Yeah, on our Weekend Bugle show, and like it's like really weird and good. Like they like Peter's in like a science school that's like science Hogwarts. Like
Science Hogwarts versus Science Slytherin, which I guess Slytherin's another school, basically. But yeah, like
it's
It's science
fun.
science drumstring.
Weird.
yeah, it's Science Durmstrang. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much more like Gryffindor versus
Slytherin. If they were
Slytherin
in
in
their own
practice.
schools.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
their own schools. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Norman Osborn runs the evil school. So
Norman Osborn runs the evil high school for
That's
science nerds.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
like he's Mystique in X-Men Evolution. Like
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
the evil principal
man.
that's like out to get the good guys.
Oh, X-Men Evolution.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
that takes you back.
Dude, yeah. Remember when
That
they
was a
just
message,
animated that scene from Buffy and used it in the opening every week?
yes, I do.
They
I
literally,
don't
like,
know
frame
I don't
by
think
frame,
I don't think I was
fake
watching
dancing.
Buffy at the same time.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the opening, there's like footage of Rogue and Kitty Pryde dancing, and it's
Yeah.
just the
It's literally
fucking-
rotoscoped over Faith
From-
and Buffy dancing.
Oh.
It's really great.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
It's like
It's
how in the
dancing.
Disney movies where you're like, "Oh, Little John just did an exact Baloo move." I wonder,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. There were some issues with that in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, good show.
But yeah, like I loved. I feel bad because I think there's been like freaking like 4 episodes since the premiere, but I had so much fun watching that, and
Mhm.
it
DuckTales.
was just 40 minutes of like pure creativity and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
fun.
and like super adventurous, like Scottish version of Scrooge McDuck is such a great place to take that character, and he like vibes so well with everybody, and
yeah,
it's
talk about a
still
remake
alive.
improving upon the original while honoring it.
Mhm.
It's kind of a miracle. It's like it's wise enough to be like, no, the original had problems. Like we can make Webby better. We can make the 3 ducks actually characters, but still honor. But to be like, no, but we love it though. We love it even though it had flaws.
Yeah.
That's why we're making this.
So this isn't fall TV, so this is technically cheating, but we've cheated a few times. Are any of you guys watching Teen Titans Go? Because
Oh, it's great.
No.
it has
been great for
absolutely
years.
no right to be as good as it is, and I am stupid excited for the movie next year.
Yeah.
They got
It's
a
Having-
amazing.
Having not watched it, I feel like I have weirdly complicated feelings about it just because of the
I did
internet
too.
conversation that goes around it. And like because of how important the original was, because of how good Young Justice was.
Mm-hmm.
And like I kind of wanted them to finish Young Justice instead.
And
They're finishing
but
Young
they
Justice
are
next
now.
year. The
Yeah.
people behind Young Justice and the people behind Teen Titans all love Teen Titans Go. Let
Yeah,
that,
and I just
let
so
that
I
dark
haven't
cloud free, my friend. Let
I
the
haven't
cat
engaged
in.
with
The
it.
cast is still getting paid. They're still
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
They're doing the job, and it's real fun.
Yeah.
Do you miss the fun of Teen Titans?
Remember when they were doing anime
Well,
opening?
I don't know if the fun part was what got me. Like I really liked some
Sure,
of the
the
brooding
drama.
stuff. I mean,
Well,
like
you'll get
I
that
was
with Young
missing.
Justice 3.
I was missing Batman the Animated Series, and so
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, dude. I fell in love with like Terra, like the Terra season,
Yeah,
the Raven
and like
season.
Slade
melodrama.
corrupting Robin.
Yeah,
It was intense stuff.
that was
and
like
then-
the last cartoon that I loved the way that I loved as a child.
That
you know?
that's all well and good, but this show doesn't
It's a different thing.
Stop that from
Totally,
happening.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
like
show
that
still
stuff
exists. And this is literally just like, I mean, it's literally just everybody who made that show being like, I just miss all my friends, and they're just making a new show with all of the people that they loved
Yeah.
making the old show with.
And I
Only
love
now
their,
they're just like, let's just tell jokes and hang out at like
yeah.
at the in the big T we live in and talk about pizza and waffles and stuff. Like there's literally an episode where Beast Boy is pulling pranks on everyone and everyone's sick of the pranks. And so they start pranking him to the level that they convince him that he's a ghost, and he's like, I'm going to do what I've always wanted, which is jump into a volcano. And they're like, no, you're not really. Oh, he's gone. And then they're like, we need to go save him. And then as they're trying to save him from jumping into a volcano, they all die and turn into real ghosts. and then he falls into the volcano and dies, and the episode ends with all of them dead, ghosts, and just being like, so now what?
What?
And then it just ends.
Yep.
Awesome.
Is it like 11 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're
So like
42
Adventure
minutes.
Time style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steven Universe format.
Okay.
It's
I don't-
so good.
But even more of a pure cartoon than like Steven Universe or Adventure Time are at this point.
It's so good.
It's
It's literally just them all hanging out and like having crushes on each other, and it's so awesome. I love it so much.
Yeah, I had to stop watching Steven Universe for a while because it just got so emotionally heavy.
Oh, it's so good.
Because they fit so much stuff into like 12 minutes. I need to go back and I want to rewatch it all and catch up. But
I want to get some Adventure Time back in my system because it's been a while since I watched any of that.
It's ending too. They're wrapping it up.
oh no.
I mean, I don't care about like the full continuity. I'm just like, I know if I watch like 5 of those 11-minute episodes, I'll
be
probably
so
get 2 or 3 really great ones.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. You know, I just want to get like another Nightosphere episode or something.
Yeah.
I remember I used to, when I was living in Chicago, Adventure Time was the bedtime show for my roommates and I. It was always like the last thing we would do right before, like we would all go to our separate bedrooms, is we would watch like Adventure Time. And I remember my roommate saying once, like, I can't wait to sit down and watch these again with my kid.
Aww.
Because like there is something, so they've captured like this is how a kid's sense of humor is, but it's also like, you know, we were watching and having a blast as like, you know, 3 college losers, you know, so like yeah, and I love that word. I love the concept of like, this is what happens after the apocalypse, is like just the world will just keep going. You just won't have anything to do with us stupid friggin' poop faces. It's just gonna be like even that won't last forever because nothing lasts forever. Like it's just like the stuff they pull off is so daring for a kid show, I think.
Yeah, I started watching Adventure Time when I was nannying in LA, and I was nannying like a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old boy, and they're like, you gotta watch Adventure Time with us. And I will say, watching Adventure Time with children is one of the most magical things that's ever happened to me.
I had a roommate who spoke Korean, so he would translate Lady Rainbow Corn's lines.
Oh my gosh.
Lady
like, that's real Korean.
And Lady Rainicorn is also in Gravity Falls, and I always remember that.
Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just watched the Summer Ween episode on Halloween.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. God, that show's so good. None of you guys are watching Gravity Falls? Are you kidding me?
No, what is that?
I watched the first. How many seasons are there? 2?
2.
Yep.
I got 10 episodes into the 2nd season where Portal, and then I had to stop for some reason. But I want to go back and rewatch it. I know, because it just started getting crazy.
It's one of the. It's like it's up there with Avatar and Korra as like one of the best animated series of the past like 15 years.
It rules.
It is. It's insane because it lulls you into it, where it's just like a normal show, and then it just keeps getting better and better, and then they start introducing serialized elements. And by the time I got to the series finale, I was just like weeping like a child.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so good, so good. Yeah.
What's the basic premise? What sell me on?
So it's these 2 kids who go and they go and live with their grunkle Stan. In their granduncle Grunkle Stan in this town called Gravity Falls for the summer, and he runs a shop that is like sells like weird like novelty like supernatural kind of things, and so like the idea is like everything in his shop is like fake and like BS and like just trying to attract tourists. But then like in the first episode, for example, this leprechaun falls in love with the sister and is like, you're going to be my wife now. And she's like, what? And then like at one point, like the leprechaun just starts throwing up rainbows and coins. And it like, it's just awesome. It's just the weirdest, most random thing. But the thing that's amazing about it is that it's like screenwriting 101. Like every episode is perfect. Like the screenwriting like technique of every single episode is just like, oh my God, that came together because it's like it's like
the Summer Ween episode in particular has one of the best shotgun over the mantelpieces I can think of in a script.
Awesome.
Yeah.
awesome.
No, it's amazing. And then they keep expanding their mythology, and it just keeps getting better and better. And then by the time you get to the end, it's like a 4 or 5 part series finale that's basically a Gravity Falls movie that wraps up the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like just two pretty short seasons, and that's it.
And that's not continuing beyond that. It's just
Nope. It's just over because it was just their one summer with their Uncle Stan.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that one's on Hulu,
Yeah,
so I think I'll watch it.
Yeah, it is on Hulu.
It is on Hulu. Yeah.
Okay.
As is Over the Garden Wall, which I think carries over into November. I think we can still count it like
Okay, when I watch Over the Garden Wall, I don't want to spoil, but there's kind of like an environment / world that you get to experience in, I think, the second to last episode. I just want to live in that world so much more. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, okay, now I want a whole season in this other.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I was
area.
like, I want a whole show just about these kids.
Whoa, Andrew. How does Kestra love all caps Gravity Falls, and you have never even heard of the show?
I've heard of it. I've just never watched it. I see it on our Hulu options, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
You gotta watch.
You should definitely watch.
Kestra, you need to hold him down and make him watch it.
It's not gonna be that hard. We enjoy watching stuff together.
It's who are the kids? Kristen Shaw and Jason Ritter, right? They're the kids.
On Gravity
Yes.
Falls?
Yeah, Kristen Shaw and Jason Ritter. Yeah, it's really good.
Well,
Really
and Kestra and I should be all set because we just watched Over the Garden Wall for Halloween.
Oh,
but,
so perfect.
Perfect.
but again, I just I love the world that they spend most of the time in Over the Garden Wall, but that other world, I want to watch so much more of that.
Yeah, I just want those writers. I want those
And
writers
all the
to make a show.
friends and I love how all the friends are just super nice and positive. It's like, hey, watch out. There's a lot of creeps out there.
Just a world where no one's a dick.
Yeah, nobody is a jerk.
Even what they do with Jason Funderburger is just one of the best joke setups in a show.
The payoff to Jason Funderburker is amazing. Or just little things like, I'm an egg. Yeah, we know you're an egg.
We know you're an egg.
The energy between those characters in that episode is such a great. It's like the opposite of what happens in Stranger Things. I guess.
Yeah, it's like normal things.
Yeah.
Normal.
Regular
Just
stuff.
singing potatoes and molasses in the
Average
chat.
stuff.
Oh, potatoes.
Oh yeah, so many good songs
Yeah.
and the song the frog
Everything
sings.
people get,
There's a lot of great music.
The things people get frustrated about that second to last episode of Stranger Things this season, where they're like, yeah, I get what they were going for, but I'm not quite on board with it, is done perfectly in Over the Garden Wall.
It's the opposite. It's the inverse.
Yeah, it's really fun.
All right. Well, I think we've talked enough as far as
We brought
all the
up
shows we're watching.
Over the Garden Wall for the second month in a row.
Will we go for the trifecta next month? Tune in.
Can they
Tune in
do
next
an Over the Garden Wall Christmas sequel?
Oh hell
Over
yeah!
the frosty wall. Snowy. Good. I don't know. Something like that.
Through the frosted window pane.
Ooh.
I'm really sad that, speaking of Hulu, I'm really sad that Runaways hasn't aired yet. Because
When does Runaways
that's
start?
That's true.
2 weeks.
Cass and I, we are doing a Runaways after show.
Yeah.
Are you really?
What?
Yeah.
Pumped.
Cool.
Can I get in on some of that?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, maybe. I
The
don't know.
latest trailer they did for Runaways, I was like, oh my god, this show looks good.
Animatronic Raptor? Are you kidding me? Bring it on.
I'm really excited. The only thing I didn't like about the trailer was the representation of the pride in the robes and then stripping the sacrifice. I'm like, that's a little weird.
Oh, see, I don't know anything about the source material, so all of it is just
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brand
but
new cool
it
stuff in
see
my
to
brain.
me, and I'm sure I'll talk about this again on the after show when we get to it. but to me, what they did in the comic was literally in 2 pages because they had to get it done in 1 issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of liked that.
Oh no. If this is a cult, it has to actually
draw it
be
out,
you have to draw it out and you have to make it
Well,
an
and I
actual
never-
presentation and
And I never thought of them as a cult, and I think that's probably because of how it was presented in the comic. Also because I always think of cults as trying to recruit new members, and these guys are pretty solitary.
Right.
They're not on recruitment drives, and so I was like, I never thought of it as cultish.
Oh,
and like the idea of it being like worship never really played in. It's like it's just like business. It's just a transaction.
A business transaction, yeah.
Yeah. And so when they changed it to seem more culty, I was like, I don't know if I like that tone.
It might have something to do with what they're doing to stretch out the show, though. Also,
yeah, that could be the case.
It might be part of the world building or whatever. But anyway, check out.
I am excited to watch Runaways.
Yeah, check out Cass and I's and our co-host Jason's Runaways after show when that starts airing. So
Ran away? What do you call it?
yeah, I guess that's next week. Is that right?
I guess.
2 weeks.
2
2 weeks?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 weeks.
All right. Well,
If you guys are around November 13th-ish, watch the 8th episode of Scorpion in season 4.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
good old Zach.
I got a little recurring co-star gig on CBS's the worst procedural idea, but it's so charming. I fell in love with it while I was there. I was like, this is such a bad idea for a show, but it's so charming. But yeah, so I'm on the episode where they go to the Renaissance Festival, and that if there's any reason to start watching a show, it should be
that sounds fun.
The one where they go to the
playing it
Renaissance.
everywhere. I'm sorry, I gotta.
So-
Sorry about a recurring co-star role. It's really bad. Yeah, watch it.
All right. Well, we will be back next month with another one of these, and we'll be talking about holiday themed films.
Yay!
So
Yeah.
that should be a fun one. All right. We'll talk to you guys next month. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.